All right, good morning, everybody. So now that you have a super fantastic looking mandala and it looks amazing, now I'm going to show you how to cut it out so it makes the more bowl shape and how to add it in to actually create that actual bowl shape and how to bake it. So what I'm going to do now, I have a little crack right here that was from all the stretching and my clay was starting to not be quite as conditioned. That's okay. I just want to make sure that I get close enough to that it's not going to spread. So I'm going to use my needle tool and I'm going to hold it like a pencil. And notice how I'm going to move the paper and not just my needle tool. This will make it easier to clean up the edge later. So it's kind of an important thing. So you don't want to just like rip through it like this because you'll get all kinds of little hangy things and everything. And it's just a little bit easier to manage if you turn the paper. So you're just going to follow along the edge of your design, leave a little border so you can kind of see the nice little color, whatever colors you picked. So you can see a nice little color differentiation around the edge. Try to keep it as even as you can all the way around. Once we get all the way around, we're going to be smoothing off the edge. If you have any areas that you kind of want to point at that point, like if you want to make this a little bit pointier, you could do that. But mostly it's just, making sure that it's nice and even. If you get any little hangy bits on your needle tool, just wipe it off with a paper towel or a tissue or something, just to kind of make sure that it's not spreading it into other areas. And you just kind of follow along with the shape. So I'm going to continue that. And really, I hope you had a lot of fun with this because this is supposed to be something where you can just kind of zone out and be kind of creative and make something amazing and beautiful. That's the goal, is to make something super cool. And now, once we've baked this, if you get any little pieces, try not to pat them down. Try to make sure you pick them up with your needle tool so that way it doesn't get stuck in there. And this is also if you have any lines still showing from when we first put those lines in there, so you had a guide to kind of follow, you can blend those out really softly too. And you do want to make sure that this is the even thickness that we had talked about earlier. So the clay is all an even thickness. So one of the popsicle sticks is like about a 1/16 of an inch thick. Now, this isn't going to make a bowl that you can use for food. Sculpey is not food safe. It's a decoration. So you can make it like a little jewelry dish or a coin dish or something like that. But it's not going to be, you got to be careful with it because when it's this thin, it's not going to be, industrial strength, right? Okay, so now that I've got all the way around, I can peel off the extra. Now, make sure, like I said before, always keep all your extra because we can use that on later projects. Even if it's not a color that you want, you still want to make sure that you're keeping it nice and just keep it, okay? Because we can use it for other stuff later. Now, if you have any little bits like this, you want to go through and clean those out. I just switch how I'm holding my needle tool, so I hold it like this so I can put pressure straight down. And I'm just going to clean up any of those little edges, those inside parts, because those are harder to get. You can't get your finger in there, right? Now, I can either clean it off with my finger, or I could use that paper towel to try to get some of that stuff off, but I just want to kind of clean up those edges a little bit. And if you clean it off in between each time you're taking clay, it's actually easier to do it because you're not spreading little bits of clay all over the place. Now, this is the part too, like I said, you are always working on top of tin foil. That makes it easier to get your clay off when you're finished. Now I did it on top of a piece of paper, and if you did it on top of a piece of paper with tinfoil underneath the paper, that's okay. But the tinfoil makes it really hard to video because it's just so shiny. It gets the camera all crazy. So I didn't do tinfoil under mine. Plus I have a junky old table and I don't really care if it has little clay bits on it. So score for me. But it's also my table and you don't want to ruin your parents' stuff. Okay, I'm almost there. So once I've gone around and kind of gotten all those little funky spots out, then I do still want to go around with my fingers and kind of blend it out. I don't want to leave a bunch of raggedy edges. So like my edges right now kind of have little, you know, fuzzies and whatnot on them. I don't want that. And I also don't want all this stuff to be on my floor. Like if you have carpet underneath you, make sure you're really careful to get all those little pieces so they don't get stuck in the carpet. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift this up gently. I'm gonna flip it over and I'm just gonna kind of start to peel it off just a little bit, especially if you worked on this multiple days. It can be a little bit brittle. That means that it could, I'm gonna put another piece of paper down. Whee! It could be a little bit brittle. That means it could crack. So you really wanna do this part carefully. You're gonna kind of peel it back like this. Now my bottom, I wasn't really careful about it and I got some of the purple clay onto the bottom of my bowl shape, but it's gonna be the bottom, so I kind of don't care. Now if I was really worried about it, I could just take a little bit of clay and, you know, rub it on here. You can use a little teeny bit of baby oil to kind of smooth it and blend it. But all I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to kind of roll the edges with my finger. So I'm just using the very tip of my finger and I'm just going to really lightly roll that edge. My goal here is just to kind of make it a more rounded edge and just neaten it up a little bit. Now, if you have any of those cracks that I was talking about, now is the time to kind of blend across them, right? Now you can use, usually a finger is the best for this. You can use the back end of a paintbrush or something. If you happen to have one, you can use the eraser on your pencil. That works too. So sometimes I like doing that, but this is just one of those things. You want to spend some quality time making those edges nice, because like you don't want to have spent all this, you know, days and days making this fabulous design and then wimp out on the end. Okay, don't wimp out on the end. I know this takes some time to do, and that's why I'm giving you in class time to do it. So don't wimp out, okay? But you're just going to keep kind of patting the edges, and anytime, you know, if you get too much of a roll going on the edge or something, if it's not looking right, you can use the back edge of a paintbrush or your pencil eraser to kind of smooth it a little bit. But we're just trying to make sure that the edges are nice and round. So go all the way around, spend some quality time on this. I have not spent quality time on this, but I don't think you want to watch me for, you know, 20 minutes doing each side. So you're going to do all the way around the back. And then since I released it from the paper, it should come off pretty easy this time. And then you're going to do it all the way around on the front. Now I should have chose a paper that was not already folded, because I added some of those lines back in. And if I just really gently kind of brush across it, I can get rid of some of those little lines that I just accidentally added it back in. But if you just use a regular piece of paper that doesn't have any folds in it, then it won't do that. Okay, so once you have it beautiful, pretend I did both sides, right? Now you want to be able to bake it. Okay, so for the baking of this, you need to either have a glass, it has to be a bowl that is safe to bake with, okay? So now I'm using a Pyrex bowl and it's glass, so my project won't stick to that. If you don't have a glass bowl, you can line an oven safe bowl with tin foil, and you can put this on top of tin foil. It's kind of up to you, it just depends. So you're gonna set it inside like this. You're gonna try to make it nice and even, okay? So like right now, I don't have it going all the way to the bottom. Now, if I like the way it looks and I'm like, oh, it looks pretty even, I could leave it like that. But if I wanna make it a little bit more bowl shaped and rounded shaped, I'm just gonna gently push on this until it touches the bottom of my bowl all the way. So I'm just going to keep pushing it down until it matches the bottom of this Pyrex bowl. So this could be like a coin dish or a jewelry dish or something like that. It's not going to be food safe. It is not food safe. Can I say that again? It is not food safe, so don't put food in it. But once you have it all nice in here, then you're gonna go ahead and do the magic part. And the magic is putting it in your oven. So you are going to, and I'll write this down on here. So you are going to bake it. Bake at 275 degrees for 15 minutes, okay? Now, how long you bake it for depends on how thick it is. Now, this is only a 1/16 inch thick, so it should only take 15 minutes. So as long as it's a 1/4 inch thick or lower, it's gonna take 15 minutes. And for anything thicker than that, you just add 15 minutes for every 1/4 inch. Okay, but the temperature is really important. If it gets hotter than this, it'll start to burn, and if it starts to burn and smoke, you don't want to be breathing that in. So make sure that it's 275, okay, for 15 minutes. Now, once it comes out, then you are gonna pull this out of here. I don't have a already baked one, but you're gonna pull this out. Sometimes it'll wanna stick, so sometimes, you know, wait till it's all the way cool. Don't try to take it out when it's very first out of the oven. You just wanna set it to the side and let it, you know, cool off gradually. But once it's all the way cool, you can kind of start to like poke a little bit at the sides and try to get it to release from the bowl. So like it's not going to move a little bit, but you can kind of just like poke around the edges. The other thing is you can take your needle tool and kind of like wobble it around the edges and try to get your needle tool under it just a little bit. But you don't want to pull real hard because it'll break. But if you've rounded those edges really nice, it'll make an area where it'll be easy to release. And then once you have released it, oh, I have all my extras. Once you have it all released, now this one has a whole bunch of junk in it. It's all my extra pieces, but you can see how like it holds the shape. So this one is a bowl shape, even though it's filled with stuff. Okay, so 275 for 15 minutes. Make sure it's an oven safe thing. And if you don't have something glass or you're afraid that it's gonna stick, make sure you put a little bit of tin foil in between the bowl and your bowl. All right, so give it a try. Have a great time, and we're gonna grade this later in the week. Thanks, everybody.